Alright, a wonderful good morning everybody and welcome back here to my channel. Today we are playing Blue Moon, switching things up a little because we're so very successful with Grixis during the last 4 leagues with an overall record of 19-1 and 3 5-0s in there. But now I just want to try something different, have some fun here. Casting gear hugs, basically. That's what I want to do. And we're playing an all-out flash version here. I do like, well, when I'm playing Blue Moon, I do like the ability to just go all flash, except for Blood Moon here, but everything else very, very good at instant speed. And then we have deprived to flashback our main value engine here, Mystic Sanctuary. That, of course, is not great if you want to get to 6 mana to cast the Torrential Gearhug, but for the most part we do have enough draw and still should be able to make our land drops to at some point get Gearhug and then just finish the game with that one. We're playing 2 Forced on Negation. I'm not exactly sure if that's necessary here. It's basically to protect the Blood Moon once we get that down. But this could also just be 2 more Mage's Charms. So yeah, we'll have to see if that one works out the way I want it to. And otherwise, yep, that's the deck. Let's just head on into the sideboard, into the league. Blue Moon, yeah. Alright. Currently here in my room there is basically everything is full of cards. I'm not a person who's hoarding like several sets or something. I just have the cards that I'm also playing with, all modern. But I do miss playing in paper. I only got to play Magic Online recently, and even that, not a whole lot. The shadow, that is not great. So he's gonna Thoughtseize 0 or Inquisition to a less extent. Oh, apparently not. Alright, there's a Blood Moon. Which potentially, so we don't need double red for anything basically. Just going with another Snow-Covered Islands. And I think if he's playing something else than a threat here, then we're trying to counter. No, he can't. So I'm going to counter this with a Force of Negation. I think the only way we're winning this is with a Blood Moon. And since he didn't play anything on turn 1, I don't expect him to have something. Yeah, Alright, so he should be locked out of the game for the most part here. And his Death Shadow is just a 1-1. So we just need to find basically anything. Or, well, Augmented Charm isn't bad. Also, since he's playing Sultai, potentially also 4 colors, because most the Shadowless are at least splashing red to just have access to a T-Mobile Rage. So I could just bounce it. I could of course also go gain control, but I think bounce draw here is the right play. Somehow way too many lands here. Oh, we've bottomed so many of our lands already. Yeah, our opponent just giving up here to the Blood Moon. Alright. So Fry is going for blue and white, right? Yeah, can't really use that. I think I want to have 2 relics here. Probably need to get rid of the Burst Lightning. Spell Snare is still pretty good because I expect our opponent to be playing Tarmogoyf as well. If we ever make it to a Torrential Gearhulk here on the draw, I do doubt. I severely doubt. I think I also want to have Fluster. Yeah. I don't want to have Force Negation, I want to have Flusterstorm here. Because we probably don't have too many options of countering stuff. And then I'm not sure about the Blood Moon. It's something that he has to play around, of course. But something that's really bad on the draw. So opponent could actually decide on letting us play first here. A couple of Death Shadow players do that in the control mirror, or in the control matchup. It's not a mirror, of course. To just have access to a little more resources. Personally, I don't think it's correct. It might be correct against blue-white control. So I'm gonna play the Scalding Tarn, but I'm not gonna crack it. Because we'll have to see. No discard spell again. So hopefully he's coming around with the Tarmogoyf here. Then we also have something to do on turn 2, and be it just playing a Snapcaster Mage to have a potential blocker or something. So he already does have a Nurturing Peatland, so he would have been able to actually run out a Death Shadow. Not doing it here makes me just want to attack. I do have a Snapcaster Mage to get rid of another Goyf. Probably doesn't have a great play here. And then I'm going to deprive whatever we're fighting about over here. And hope that he doesn't have multiple ways of... Could have Veil of Summer, of course. Yeah. Alright, so now we only have to beat a Goyf here. And that should be possible. Like a 3-4 Goyf should be doable. Dismember, alright. So I think I'm gonna bounce it here right now because he's playing islands, and although it's unlikely, that's probably his only chance of getting back into the game here. Yeah. Alright, easy 2-0, GG's. Alright, what is up? So in regards to the sideboard, I didn't talk a whole lot about the sideboard in the beginning. I think, so I added another, well, it's been a while since I played Blue Moon, but I added another Dragon's Claw, especially to beat all these Mono Red Prowess decks. That's not good. As a sideboard, we should do have an okay time beating this, but pre-sideboard here, yeah. Put a card on top and has a Lotus Bloom. So this is the new Tassa Ad Nauseam deck, I think. And in theory it can win on turn 3, but for that to happen it would have to play Panto Prism here. I'm gonna put that to the bottom in the hopes of finding a counterspell, good. So that we're not getting caught here. Alright. So one more thing. We could probably still lose on next upkeep. Just putting cards to the top here all the fucking time. And there's the prism. So I think I'm going to counter this, because next turn, if he has a pact, then we just lose on the spot if we remand the Lotus Bloom, although that's of course a beneficial play for us, but the mana difference is also only 1 here, so I think this is the better play. But now it's really getting difficult to actually get stuff onto the battlefield. So it's possible that we have to counter this. If he has a Simian Spirit Guide, we know he has a Phantom Prism. Can he win this turn anyway? I think I'm gonna let this resolve. Where am I? So Pact of Negation really fucks us, of course. But I don't see, like, if we give him 6 mana to work with, plus Phantom Prism, and we just can't get a threat down. Okay, 1 core on the bottom, 1 core on the top. Probably a Phantom Prism. Yeah. Alright, so of course opponent could have okay, this is probably gonna be Phyrexian on life, yeah. So what I'm gonna try, I can't really play the Deprive here, because that will leave us without counter magic next turn. So what I'm gonna try is to find the Force of Negation here, so that we can utilize all the blue cards in our hand. Close. Spell Snare would have been good at some earlier point in time. We're putting that back on top. So I guess Spell Snare is actually really good here to fight Thassa's Oracle, but of course they can still win on the stack. Alright, now we're going for it. And him doing this main phase signals that he does potentially already have Thassa's Oracle in hand. Alright, this was a fight that I wasn't expecting to actually win. And I think I can just go play the other Snapcaster Mage here. So much counter magic in hand. Just need a couple of lands. Alright. So we're putting that one back on top. Another one. Well, this is weird because he already knew that we did have a remand on top. So, and he also knows that we do have the Deprive on top now again. I might have, well, maybe you should have gone with the Cryptic instead there. To have a double counterspell next turn, but what I want to do is actually, like if he does it now, I want to bounce the Phyrexian on life. We don't have lethal next turn yet. Put him down to 7. So as it stands, probably, well, he needs a land as well. Alright, so our opponent actually now also short on mana here, and now we have 2 counterspells. Alright, now I'm feeling a little better about this. Before, just a Pact of Negation here would have been enough. And the reason I always went with the not cryptic commands is to keep Spell Snare up, just in case that he somehow like metamorphoses into a Thassa's Oracle or something, and then I wanted to have another counterspell. Although, of course, if he does have multiple Forces of Negation in his main deck, then alright. So now only 3 mana, and I think I can bounce here because he wouldn't need 2 Summon Spirit Guides to go with a Nauseam, and then sure. Can't do anything about that. Yeah, so now he needs to tap these 3 and can't use any of these unless he has another Angel's Grace. So I'm just gonna bounce remount this. Alright. So I wanna have all of these. Burst lightning is really bad here. Blood Moon is actually not too bad. Torrential Geog is probably also... oh no. Definitely want to get rid of Magmatic Sinkhole. Although they do have Jaces, so that at times can be problematic, but I think here with the Fry I'm pretty well set for that as well. And since they're mostly not searching their library, I don't bring in the Ashok. They also don't have fetch lands, so of course, both here in Modern and so let me back up here. The new hot deck in Pioneer for the last 2 weeks has been Demir Inverter, which is actually a pretty cool combo, not gonna lie. And since it's both times just a card that goes on the stack, many people find it difficult to deal with the combo, but of course yours truly, Noble Obstructionist, is there for you, so most of the time you should be able to counter Thassa's Oracle's trigger, or the Inverter's trigger, to just outright win the game. The next turn, like you then remove her, or it, or whatever. So I think I want to put this on top, since next turn I'm likely gonna go remand something, and then so I'm gonna fetch right now, because I don't want to be caught end of turn, even with a Force of Negation up. Because this turn you could, in theory, already go for the combo. With the Temple, though, I'm gonna go with the Snapcaster, because now it requires him to have 2 Summon Spirit Guides, and then it's impossible for him to win on the stack. Alright, Phyrexian on life, which I'm gonna go after with the Remand, because he's probably not gonna use the 2 Panta Prisms here. Veil of Summer. That is weird. That is extremely weird. I mean, I think I'm gonna force here, right? And I'm gonna force the Veil of Summer. Still draw a card. Still have Snap Remand. Don't know if we want to keep up the Archmage's Charm. See if he does have more counter magic. I mean, this is basically him digging. Yeah, this is really weird. Super weird. Double everything. So the Remand still gets us a card here. So we definitely lost that fight there. That was not great for us. And I would like to go with the Snapcaster Mage here, but I don't think that we can. Now that that's different, just because we do have more counter magic up. Fairy Outlet. Okay. So if we have to go for a game 3 here, then it's very likely that so it definitely has a counter spell backup here. The question here is, do I want to go with the Snapcaster Force of Negation? It's strange that he always plays it in a main phase. That signals that he might not even have access to Lightning Storm, but just plays with Thassa's Oracle. So, going with the Cryptic Command here, of course I could just bounce the Phyrexian on life and let the Ad Nauseam resolve. I think that's actually the best play. And then I still do have a force, because he also still needs to counter that. Alright, so now he needs a something. You can of course just pay for the pact here. Alright, so just pays for it. I'm then gonna bounce the Phyrexian on life here. And if we were to draw a bolt, oh no, we're still, nah, we're not one short. He still would have to use the City of Brass at some point. Fry is actually kind of problematic. So, well, this is actually problematic in case he has another Veil of Summer. Alright, there's a Lightning Bolt, so depending on what he does next turn, we might have him here. That's not 100%, of course. So I think I'm supposed to bolt him here to get him down to 0 so that this damage actually already... Alright, another prism. We have a force. It's not bad. But this will only put him down to yeah, minus, so we don't actually have anything in there yet. Alright, Lotus Bloom. So he doesn't have the combo assembled as of now. And next turn he's still dead. So he needs to have protection plus combo here. Yeah, Spoils of the Vault is problematic because of Thassa's Oracle, in case that's a card that he does have in hand. That's why I couldn't let that resolve there. Alright. He might have another Angel's Grace, otherwise I guess he would. Alright. GG's. Another 2-0. Alright, welcome back to round number 3 and 4. Sadly, my recording program crashed in on itself again. It's double sad because it was a very fun round, and as the last time I actually wanted to show it, so this time around I'm actually going through the replay of the round that I just played. We're keeping a mediocre hand against most decks. Against Burn though, or Mono Red Pros, it's insanely bad though. So this will go on for a bit. But for the most part, we don't really stand a chance. We're also only drawing lands for the next couple of turns. So getting a couple of triggers here. Long story short, we lose this one and then head on to game number 2. In game number 2, we're on the play, of course, and our sideboard had 3 Dragon's Claws in it, of course. We had to mulligan because the first hand was just horrendous, and this hand's okay. It at least does have a little bit of removal, but our opponent doesn't have a threat. And so we're just whittling our way through here. For the most part though, so opponent is trying to enable light up the stages here after a bit, so we're just in our waiting phase here, trying to assemble relevant spells. I think I'm acting here, right? No. Okay. Lava Dart, just very important to counter in order to be able to actually play threats and have them be 1-for-1 trades at the very least. And also they only have Lava Darts, I think 2 Burst Lightnings something, and Lightning Bolts to actually deal with our creatures. The rest of the deck, Light Up the Stage, Mana Foes, Lava Spike, all these cards can't really do anything about that. I'm sorry that the recording program was in this video screen the whole time. I thought it would So here, the Brazen Borer, I bounce the Bedlam Reveler so that he has to discard them. He had 2 in hand, so we get good value out of this, and we're already at 4 life. So here I'm going with a Lightning Bolt because our opponent's also playing Gut Shots, and I didn't want to risk being blown out here, because that would certainly spell our doom. And we have a couple of resources to still play with. So he does have another Bedlam Reveler, which I'm going to counter with an Major Charm, because obviously we can't let that resolve, and we also still need to deal 18 damage. And yeah, to my demise, or general unhappiness, and we don't have a whole lot of counter spells here. Can I still, yeah. So, oh yeah, here he has 2 Lava Spikes. Off the top, I'm playing the Brazen Borer. We need to draw a counterspell or a Snapcaster Mage. Because he's going to draw a Monastery Swift Spear off the top, we needed to have exactly a Snapcaster Mage here. Got lucky. I'm not going to deny that. Stay alive and then have lethal next turn. On 1 life against 2 Lava Spikes, so that was pretty intense here. But yeah, so we're just blocking, and then there's the Dragon's Claw, which I of course didn't want to reveal, so that he doesn't bring in Artifact 8. And that's the win. Now in game 3, I was saying that I actually, like, I don't, since my recording program's running in the background, I don't register it when it crashes unless there is a message or something. So I, as usual, just talked through the entire thing, and then was disappointed when it didn't turn out great. So here we have 2 Dragon's Claws, a couple of removal spells, exactly what I wanted. They have Shrine of the Burning, blah blah blah. Generally speaking, one of the strongest cards against us, but since we're basically doubling down with each red card that he's playing, we're also going to draw the 3rd Dragon's Claw at some point, so that from this point onward, yeah, we're just gaining life basically. And yeah, this is pretty one-sided. So the second game was very close, and this one just turns out to be very good for us. Especially because Dragon's Claw doesn't only counter our opponent's red sources, but also our own. And here, of course, also I made a couple of changes in sideboarding between the second and the third match. I cut on the draw. I cut a Torrential Gearhulk and a Magmatic Sinkhole, so I know that I'm not going to draw another Magmatic Sinkhole, which is really important to me. And yeah, overall, like, I can't skip till the end here, I think. Can I? Alright, so this is just very fast forward, apparently. So you can see, like, our life totals begin to skyrocket. I stole a Soulscale Mage here. And in the hopes that you don't get epilepsy. So here, I actually... Why did it stop? Alright, so here I actually want to make a move. He's casting something. I want to deprive and put... in order to... So have deprive resolve first, then fetch with the Scalding Tarn, Mystic Sanctuary, and put the deprive back on top. Sadly, I didn't let the deprive resolve first, so that was pretty fucked up. Now we have a removal spell, which is also fine, but a deprive would have, of course, been better, especially with Mystic Sanctuary. So by itself, a good move, but yeah, wasn't exactly what we wanted to have there. I wanted to see there, especially because the deprive would have also been right back in our hand. Yeah, and from here on out, like, I win with over 60 life, because at some point he's just cracking the shrine to kill my Soulscale Mage, because he doesn't or he can't find any removal spells, which is also pretty funny. And yeah, that's this for round number 3, which I think is a good overview of a very funny matchup. Alright, so now finally on to round number 4. And I just went through all the drivers updates and whatever. Because, I mean, this is not an old computer or anything. I got it like last autumn. And, or fall for the Americans. And I just don't know why it freezes in between, and apparently these freezes are fucking up the recording program, so I guess it's something with the CPU. I do not understand. Well, hopefully it's gone now. There was a critical drivers update, so might have been that one. By the way, like now that Pioneer is so popular, you know, card prices are rising all over the place. That's actually pretty good because I've been playing Magic for, I don't know, 4 or 5, I think 5 years. And so all the cards that I actually own from not specifically being bought for modern decks are currently increasing in price due to Pioneer, and therefore that's most of the time a pretty good investment. So our opponent here, apparently on Grixis, we don't yet know if he's on Grixis Shadow or playing a control variant. Although I only know myself and my deck lists that are running control with, or Grixis control with discard magic, so we shall see. Archmage Charm is actually a card that is fine with me. Alright, so it's a shadow deck, and now it of course makes a whole lot of sense that he takes the Archmage Charm so that we can't steal a Death Shadow. He also knows what's on top of our deck. So maybe you should have actually cracked the bubble, looked at our deck, and then decided on whether or not he wants to take the Archmage Charm, because that's of course now a whole lot worse. Generally speaking, I don't actually think that actually this might also, now that I see Snow-Covered Islands, this might also be some sort of Wizard deck. Yeah, something tells me this is not a Death Shadow deck at all. Although the Mishra's Baubles by itself are somewhat strange. So we can't get back the Archmage Charm yet. If he goes with a Field of Ruin, I think I'm just gonna bounce. Sanctuary back to hand. Because what's the worst thing in this deck that can happen on turn 3? Don't know. hope that I'm actually drawing a card here, right? Yep. No, nothing. Good. So I'm playing the Flooded Strand, obviously, so that my Mystic Sanctuary next turn comes in untapped and gets back the Archmage's Charm. Another one of those. And obviously, like, I think I'm not going to go with the Archmage's Charm here and just put the op back on top, because I can actually get my Gearhog out in case he goes with the Field of Ruin here, end of turn. Then I get to play the Archmage's Charm. I should not be able to counter that, unless he's playing something really weird. Now we don't actually know what we're playing against here yet. I think they're running, like the Wyrza decks are just running so if I go return draw, I still have access to the sinkhole, so in case he's got some sort of Jace here or something. Alright, so it's Urza, which is kind of okay, I guess. Can keep the Archmage's Charm in the bin. Yeah, no, I think we're going with the Archmage's Charm here. Reason being that on the one hand, of course, that works well with Remand. On the other hand, I can steal the Construct here, and with the Torrential Gearhawk I actually get something decent out of it. But it's good to know what we're actually playing against here. So it's the Wyrza deck that is apparently playing sure, Pithing Needle. Don't think that there's any target except for maybe a Scalding Tarn. So I could try to steal right now, but I could also just wait for the end of turn. It's a little sad, of course, that... Or I'm just gonna go the sinkhole here. Nah, I can deal with it at some point. That's fine. So I think this matchup, Flusterstorm and Force of Negation, Relic of Progenitus, these are going to be clutch. Ashiok is also not too bad. What's that? Weir of Invention? Yeah. Hmm. So we could get a Blood Moon down here. Oh, missed. Damn it. That one I fucked up. I really did fuck up that one. So Blood Moon doesn't get us a whole lot. Against the Archon's Astrolabe. Completely forgot about the Pithing Needle. Otherwise, of course, the Scalding Tarn would have been the superior play here. Let's try this. He either has a cryptic command on top in his hand or another Weir of Invention that he wants to play here. Or, of course, an Urza. That would also be possible. I'm so mad that I did not remember the Pithing Needle on Scalding Tarn, so that's really blocking me right now. Another Scalding Tarn. Not this time, though. So obviously... So we wanted to have the card that was on top. And I guess that's going to be going for the Weir of Invention. That one's interesting. So I can, at some point, of course, convert this Scalding Tarns into lands, even if I'm not gonna get rid of the Pithing Needle by just... Yeah, so there's the Weir of Invention. By just playing the Blood Moon. So 1, 2, 3. I play lands. Don't have it back. Well, he would not be able to. Alright, so I need to do this anyway. Nope. My fucking god. 4th fucking Scalding Tarn. Fuck you. Alright, so gonna play it out here. He could of course have Cryptic. So yeah, he can already go with Word of Invention. And we have to hope that we draw a Force of Negation basically. Because once he does have it in play, there's no way that we're getting out of that. Which of course isn't great. Cryptic. Can't even play it. Yeah, Urza is infinite here. That was the worst possible I think I'm gonna cut all the lightning bolts. I think there's nothing in there that I really want to have. That was kind of unfortunate. Although I think if we can just prevent him from getting his Thopter Sword combo together, we should be able to outvalue our opponent. So we're definitely the harder control deck here. Alright. Let's go. Alright, this hand is actually perfect on the draw. On the play, it's a little bit land light. So I guess that's still alright. I don't think like without Mox Opal they shouldn't be able to generate 2 mana on turn 0, turn 1, but can never be too sure. So I'm basically gonna remand anything that comes our way here. Really need to draw another land source. There it already is. So I probably want to keep the Scalding Torrent just in case. This is actually... So Weir of Invention for 2 would be possible, but he has to at least tap this to do something with that, so we are just drawing 2 cards here. Flusterstorm is also good. Good. Alright, let's go with the Scalding Torrent. This time not going with the Field of Ruin. It's actually pretty funny. Last time around. Interesting. Okay. So obviously I would like to play the Archmage's Charm with the Snapcaster Mage, but I can also like postpone it for a turn or 2. So by him not actually shocking this one, I expect him to not have a Weir of Invention in hand, because otherwise I don't think this makes a whole lot of sense. Just an Archmage's Charm. So we could of course go and like Force of Negation this or something like that. I think though I'm just gonna go Flusterstorm it. I definitely want to do something here. Don't want to give him this. And I think Flusterstorm is alright because that's the card that I also want to get back with the Snapcaster Mage. Well, you know what's on top of my library. Didn't need to really look here, but I guess that's alright. Is it time to fight here? It might be. I think I'm gonna go with the Snapcaster. Targets the Flusterstorm just in case there is a Weir of Invention coming at the end of turn. Because otherwise I don't care for the Neil Spellbomb here anyway. And this way we still have multiple counterspells. And of course, we needed to have a threat on board, plus I want to keep my hand card total to 83, where I'm actually able to cast most of the spells. There we go. Alright, so since we still have triple spell here, I think I'm just gonna draw 2 cards. We know he has at least 1 Archmage's Charm in hand. Let's try to remand this. And of course I'm remanding here instead of going with the Deprive, because that's not a hard counter, so potentially I'm baiting my opponent into not really fighting over this one, whereas I'm only just trying to get an additional turn here. In order to untap my cards and utilize the card advantage that I generated through Mage's Charm. Because at some point here we're starting to play on my terms. That point hasn't come yet, but it might. Mm-hmm. So he currently doesn't have anything to activate the Spellbomb with, so I'm probably just gonna go play this and put probably Deprive back on top, right? Archmage's Charm gives us the most in terms of abilities, but I think the Deprive here is probably the best thing that we can possibly do. Alright, so now he's sacking without any utility, which is also fine with me. And I can't retarget with the Mystic Sanctuary, so I'm not gonna go respawns relic here. Opt, I mean. So we know he does have a deprive still. And I actively want to force a negation the deprive so that he can't get it back with that thing there. Yeah, now I'm just gonna crack here, despite the fact that that might also hurt me in terms of, well, that is actually pretty good. So he put, we know what he put back on top, therefore I'm gonna go target him here. Oh no, he just tried to put it back on top, of course. We stopped him from that. Yeah, draw 2 cards, that's fine with me. If you want to main phase, something like that. And I'm gonna go be aggressive with the Ashiok. I actually want to know what he boarded. I want to know what we're actually playing around here. And he also brought in the Ashiok. Interesting. Although I don't think it's as good against like us as it is against him, but still fine, I assume. At this point I can also go for red source. Lol. So he does not actually have a removal spell here, I would assume. I haven't seen a single removal spell except for a Drown Loch, so I'm just gonna bounce this. Make him realize how bad bringing in Kalitas actually is in this matchup. You want to counter that? Alright. So I'm gonna remand here because I actually want to play the Brazen Bora as well. Alright, so overall I'm actually pretty happy. I do want to have a second Magmatic Sinkhole just because, well, mainly because of that. Kalitas. Spell Snare was pretty good because next to the Thopter Foundry they are also playing Deprives. Yeah, I think for the most part I can keep this, right? So I cut a Force of Negation because apparently our opponent went with more threat density. And we already have 2 Forces of Negation in hand. Alright, we're gonna keep. I guess he's taking the Snapcaster. Anything else doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Alright, that is weird. I mean, we have to counter this, but I also do want to have the opt in the graveyard to gain value out of that Snapcaster Mage. He could have multiples of the Thopter Foundry, of course. I think this is definitely a top deck. And then I'm gonna go. Whew. Yeah, let's get rid of the Snapcaster. So in terms of resources, we are pretty much at the same point in time here. And he doesn't know about the Augmented Charm, which is also important. Alright, Snapcaster Mage. That's interesting. Potentially I would want to get rid of this, but that would force me to use the Relic and that would open me up to an Urza, so I'm not going to do that here. And I'm trying to get the Snapcaster Mage out. So let's assume for a second that our opponent is indeed... he does have a land and Urza in hand, and of course, this does have a little bit... I'm just gonna let this happen. Since Riemann still protects me from Musa, and we also have the magmatic sinkhole afterwards. Yeah, you're gonna take the augmented charm. Let's not kid ourselves here. Yeah, puts it back on top, of course. To then also take our Remand. So I probably have to act here with a relic. Oh, it's a weird invention. Probably for a Thopter Foundry. Yeah. Since I can't really stop it anyway here, there's no use in me playing around that thing. Alright, second, Flooded Strand is pretty decent. Yeah, we can take Thopter for a bit. Of course, I cut most of our red spells, so multiple Thopters here are definitely problematic. On the other hand, though, I'm gonna magmatic sinkhole here, the Thopter Foundry. Well, maybe later. There's also a second Thopter Foundry. I just now realized that we actually don't have anything against these types of things, like artifacts. There's just nothing in our deck right now. So I think, yeah, the time has probably come here to act, to just kill the Thopter. It's not super great, but our graveyard is pretty much empty at that point anyway. So I'm gonna wait with the relic here. For him to fetch up another Mystic Sanctuary, which I assume he does. No, he doesn't. Yeah, that's of course good interaction. Not gonna lie. You can sacrifice it to something else and then still get your value out of it. That's pretty good. Our opponent only has 3 minutes left though. So potentially we might also be able to just get something out here ourselves. And I'm not going to be playing around. Ashiok Dream Render. Multiple counter spells here. So I think still gonna, well, the easiest way to just get rid of all of this is just cracking this one. Then Run and Lock doesn't do anything anymore. And that's still a sweet 2-for-1 here. And hopefully we're gonna find counterspell. Yeah, opponent gets a little bit desperate here and just wants to get more Thopters out. And we could definitely die to them, I guess. Alright, this mountain is actually worth quite a bit, because now I can bounce a Thopter, in theory. Alright, counter that one, and return this. So we do have a couple of whoops. Oh, whoops. I'm gonna... Should I counterbalance here, right? Because I can put it back on top anyway. Alright. And there's another where. So hopefully this is not going to be a dead card. Very good. So we can just cycle cryptics. Potentially I should have put the deprive back on top instead of the cryptic. Or another cryptic. So he's got a little over a minute here to still find the win. I guess he's just going to sacrifice the bubble to the Thopter Foundry. Oh. Alright, Urza's actually pretty good here, I guess. I'm just gonna try to cycle on the cryptics for the remaining game. Because activating stuff takes so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In theory, that should be enough to just keep him busy. Unless he has a corner. No, I didn't have an upkeep stop. Damn it. Yeah. Yeah. And this was... Fuck. I usually always have an upkeep stop. Yeah, this is fucked up. I bet that he just threw that there. Damn it. Fuck my life. Alright. I think we pretty much had it wrapped up there. Pretty sure that he just top decked the cryptic command. And we could have just taken those last 20 seconds off the clock. But anyhow, off to round number 4. Alright, welcome back to the last round here. Sadly, I didn't have an upkeep stop, otherwise I think we would have cheesed out a win there. Nevertheless, Blue Moon can definitely beat Wirza, and if Blue Moon can do it, then so can Grixis. So, actually with Grixis it's way easier. I haven't seen a single removal spell out of our opponent's deck, so a Jigsaw Jailer should already do the trick and cut off the entirety of his combo, and then you only have to get rid of the Urzas. Alright. Didn't we already play this dude? No, Quasar. Alright. I knew it was something with K. So lately I've been playing, I already have the game since its inception, but I've been replaying Total War Warhammer. By the way, for those who didn't know, I'm both a huge Total War fan as well as all the other science fiction scenarios, but I never came around to really loving the original Warhammer, or the medieval Warhammer, so to speak. Well, in fact, I did not expect here. I think we need Petty Theft to just buy us a little bit of time. I think I'm just gonna remount this. It's unlikely that we're gonna die if he doesn't have another green source. And if he wanted to fight. Yeah, right. I'm admitting this was a little bit of a gamble, but come on. So polluted delta can give us back the lightning bolts. Damn it. Does have another Might of Ultrosa, then we are done. This is weird though. So since we have double counterspell here, plus repeatable lightning bolts off the top, and we know that at least one card in his hand. Is not a pump spell. So if he protects this with another spell, then probably survive this one. Now counterspell. Yep, did have a spell pierce. Alright. But that's still fine because our lightning bolt takes care of the blighted agent, and our brazen borer can block the Ingmoth Nexus. And we're just gonna get back those lightning bolts. No way, fuck. Does have distortion strike. Well, that is very annoying. So I actually have to take the 2 damage here. And then next turn we're fighting over that Ingmoth Nexus. So he needs to have protection plus a counter spell for 2 mana. So I think I can attack for everything here, since if he does get the distortion strike through, we are dead anyway. So he must have something here, because otherwise he wouldn't go for the move. But he only has 1 card, so should be good here. Yep, did have Vines of Aswood. Alright. That should spell GG here, right? Spetsner isn't bad, it's not super great. I guess I'm gonna go with the Cryptic here, just so we can also tap our way into the last couple of points of damage. Yeah, but our opponent apparently doesn't even have a threat. Alright, so off to sideboarding here. Also don't have a whole lot against these motherfuckers. So I guess Tarantula is just too expensive. We do have a lot of interaction though. I mean, Remand isn't the greatest. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna go with one Fry here over a Remand, because it still gets the I want to say some Stalker, something. But yeah. So I probably also want to have Flusterstorms. One here, one. Well, force negation two. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do this. So our opponent's on a mulligan. That makes me really want to keep the hand. Curve-wise, we're pretty alright here. The only real problem would be Phantasmal Stalker. No. What's the fucking name of the card, man? It is Blighted Agent, yes. I could have thought about that one for probably a couple of years and wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Inkmoth Nexus. Alright, so this is exactly what I hoped was going to happen. Unless he has a Blighted Agent here, turn 2 anyway, plus the Inkmoth Nexus. But otherwise, I can bounce a threat, except for the Inkmoth, and then play Brazen Borer to block the Inkmoth Nexus. I assume that he's not actually attacking with the Inkmoth Nexus into open mana. At least I wouldn't do so. So I'm going to fetch for a basic in order to... Alright. Apparently there's one protection spell here. Actually, let me do it the other way around. Let's fetch for basic, opt into a Blood Moon. Well, Blood Moon is pretty good. Can I die here? Let's say he has a land and a counter spell in terms of spell pierce. Alright. So this should make things harder for our opponent. Not a whole lot going on. Perfect. Also hit the right land here off the top. yeah. I mean, Blue Moon, it is pretty linear of a deck. I'm not saying it's not complicated. It's, it's alright in terms of complexity, but it's also not super complex. It's not like once, well, you have pretty simple lines of play that you always repeat, I would say. But it's still a control deck. You have to be reactive to your opponent, so it's very fun. I don't think I actually played Torrential Gearhawk once in the entirety of this league, which makes me pretty sad because I actually just wanted to play this deck to play Torrential Gearhawk. Other than that, though, like, you can probably put in more Brazen Boras or Nimble Obstructionist or whatever, and that would perform better than the Torrential Gearhawk. But overall, I have to say, the deck was pretty good. The one game that we lost, I could have actually timed out my opponent. Although that's of course not the gentleman path to victory. But yeah, just missed the upkeep stop there. And other than that, yeah, deck felt pretty good. Flusterstorm had its moments as well. I like that card in this deck as definitely. Yeah. And otherwise, you probably like the reason I wanted to play this deck, aside from having fun, was to have a reliable deck against all these big mana decks that are running around. So in game 1, they basically don't have any way of getting rid of a Blood Moon, and that pretty much hoses them. And then in games 2 and 3, you still have Ashiok and potentially a Damping Sphere as well. So there, you really have a lot of options to turn the corner. I hope you enjoyed it, and next time around, I'm playing a different deck again. Maybe Grixis, maybe something else, we shall see. So have a great week, guys, and see you around.